Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020. It is the final game of the day, and it happened so quickly. It's 7:30 KST PM. And I think last time we were starting our third series, it was like 10:30. So this is crazy.
Atlas, you've basically been on the go. I imagine that you just sort of slept, woke up, and got ready for LCK again.
Oh, yeah, I was sleeping in this chair. I just signed out, did some tweets, and then just went to sleep in my computer chair, woke up, and here I am again. Absolutely.
Well, I am looking forward to this one. This is KT's big boss that they have to go up against. This is going to be the first true test, and it's a big one because it helps them swing potentially into third place down the road. And with a lot of other matches remaining, KT is running the gauntlet.
Oh yeah, KT's got some rough ones. I mean, they have APK, which now is looking more interesting than it otherwise could. But then T1, the telecom war is coming next week. It will be in the middle of the week on Friday. I believe that will be you and Brendan Valdez that will be bringing us that one. That's going to be a huge matchup.
Well, taking a look at some of the points of the match, we have no confidence to lose. KT are on a tear, and it's going to be up to DragonX to try to stop them. And DragonX is shaky round 2. Obviously, they have been faltering a little bit. Are they going to be able to stop KT? So on, playing from the team house versus Doron with full XP. I don't believe that there is a masterwork item for Doron's items. I'm not sure what the XP totally matters.
He hasn't quite got a recipe for any of his items either. He's sort of like early game only. So we'll see whether Doran has upgraded his loadout so far as we get in. I mean, I think Soan was actually uncharacteristically from round 2 Soan shaky in KT's last match against Afrika, but we'll see whether against Doran it's going to be a different story. And the core of KT's win streak, the real-life Ezreal Tahm Kench duo aiming in Tucson, the two players that managed to pick up player of the game in their last match, and in their interview that was the reference that the Korean fans were saying. As we have a look at KT, this is their dream run. 5 losses in a row. They finished round 1 with 4 wins against Afrika, Sandbox, Harmalife, and Griffin, and now they've taken down Damwon, Harmalife, Afrika, and Griffin again. So they haven't really been up against the really tough opponents just yet.
I mean, look at the left-hand side. Genji, DragonX, T1. That's the gauntlet. This is the Elite 4, or the Elite 3, I guess, of LCK right now. And it starts with DragonX, and we're going to see if KT have what it takes to bring them down. Unfortunately, they're starting on blue side, which I don't think that gives them that much of an edge. It's going to be hard to try to do anything, I imagine. In game number 1, going in blind is certainly going to make things harder for them.
And the other thing is that I thought that Kuro looked a little bit shaky in their last match, and now he's up against Chovy, arguably one of the strongest mid laners that we have here in the LCK. And having a look at Team DPM, I mean, DragonX absolutely slaughtering everyone. KT preferring to take their time and not necessarily getting into all of these fights as often as DragonX is inclined to do. And first turret, still the win rate is very, very high for both of these teams. In fact, this is what we were touting for KT, but things certainly changed in their more recent matches, as DragonX also 14 wins versus 5 losses if they do manage to take down the first turret, but they take down a lot of first turrets. I mean, Deft loves pushing bottom lane, and it certainly does allow them to move that tempo into the mid lane.
No, absolutely, and I think that the early game is really going to be where to look, because aiming is also an integral piece to a lot of KT's wins, but Deft, no slouch, only really been able to be straightened up so far by Teddy in the LCK, and I really don't think aiming is quite on the level of Teddy. So, it's going to be interesting down there in the bot lane dynamic. Tushin now going up against Deft. Obviously, again, that is a story as well. Kuro in the mid lane against, will it be Chovy or Choki today, Atlas? I'm not
we'll have
sure.
to find out. Exactly, as of course, former teammates Deft and Tucson. Played very, very well on DragonX together last year, but now separated and will be facing off against one another one more time. I believe last time we saw this match, it was pretty comfortable for DragonX. I think a 2-0 was what we saw very early on. Actually, it was a 2-1. So KT able to fire one back, but this was all the way back in week 1. And oh, how things have changed for both KT and DragonX. And I think for KT, for the better. For DragonX, we don't even necessarily know. They came off a decent win just recently against Sandbox, but Sandbox should have been an easy victory, and that was a 2-1. And then before that, it was a Griffin 2-0. They haven't really shown us what we want to see. As Deft, a whole lot of damage, but I don't think we've really seen full power Deft in recent matches, and you can see that by the damage percent. I mean, I think it's been all about Chovy when it comes to doing damage on DragonX's side, and Deft has been more of a role player in their more recent matches.
No, he most definitely has. His isolated deaths even, I mean, he's second in the 80 carry position at 12, and that is a really bad stat to have.
Yeah, it's not a great one. And aiming at 2. So he's been playing very, very well. And I think that, honestly, for the first time ever, I'm going to say that aiming probably has the power edge in the bottom lane against Deft, which is just insane to think about. And look, Deft might prove us wrong as we get into this game, but as it stands right now, this is a tough ask for the bottom lane of DRX.
And I think the drafts are going to be really important for both of these two teams. Obviously, if DRX comes out the gate with a winning bot lane, if Chovy has a really good matchup, I think things are going to be really good for them. But I think all eyes need to really be on Chovy. He's really the integral piece to DragonX. If he falls, they almost always just completely plummet out of the game. But even when Doran or bot lane loses, if he's stable, he's managed to keep them in it many times. So paying attention to the matchup that he ends up getting, will he be on a tank or something? That remains yet to be seen. As so far, DRX with standard bans, KT, Zoe and Silas taken away, perhaps want to get their hands on Ornn.
Yeah, maybe, as it looks like both teams are now picking a ban, which is quite interesting. Senna to be taken away here, as the set is the follow-up, and it looks like KT are hedging towards something like an Ornn first pick with that Silas ban, making it a little bit obvious. As DRX, generally here, you're going to be banning away something like the Kalista, but maybe they feel like they don't have to. The Varus is there as an answer if they do want to take that one away. And Trundle's going to be the ban, so Ornn is left through, and maybe that means that DRX can accept that and then pick the Kalista for themselves, pair that with the Taric immediately.
Well, Ornn was picked up. DragonX now have the option to just lock in the Kalista Taric if they want that duo down there in bot lane.
Whoa, it could be Kalista Varus locked in here, and you can throw Kalista top lane into the Ornn, which is the decent matchup.
That isn't a bad matchup at all. I guess my only worry would be that then you do show that Kalista's headed mid or top.
True.
Because it's unlikely that Chovy would pivot the Varus into mid.
I mean, unless you're assuming that Kuro's going to pick something like an Azir, which is still left available and is very high priority, and the Varus would deny that. I actually wouldn't mind it as a pickup, but Olaf just trying to get Pioshik some comfort right here. That is going to be the lock away. And KT, are they going to deny the Taric from DragonX? That's going to be the question. Tucson does like to just go towards the Taric anyway, regardless of whether they have the Kalista or not, as Bono is going to lock away the Jarvan for himself. That is a lot of comfort, and KT will deny the Varus, or just head towards Misfortune. We'll see where aiming decides to go.
Maybe they just do the bread and butter habit, as my stream did die. So,
not again.
Yeah, you're gonna... Go ahead, Alice.
It's all right. The Varus is now back to being hovered. This would be the standard lock-in, but no, it's going to be Nautilus locked in the end. So Ornn and Nautilus, two champions that most teams do like locking away together. And now DragonX are going to look for Taric and see whether they can lock it in right now.
So Taric is actually really good here. KT have such heavy engage, and they have like this pick lockdown comp sort of going on right now. And there's also basically no ornament items on the current champions that they have selected, as I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it, Atlas. I'm not gonna make it. This is a baptism in hell.
I mean, there was no way that Aatrox was going to be banned, and they just leave the Taric to the wayside. I do not understand. Varus is going to be banned here. They want to deny that one as far as the lane matchup into the Kalista is concerned. But that's the easiest Taric ban of KT's life. They'll probably ban something like the Tahm Kench after this because it does pair decently well with the Kalista as well. And of course, our Korean teams do love to pick him up. And now DRX thinking about what they want to take away next. Might be another 80 carry. I mean, aiming does like something like the Ezreal, but Blitzcrank is their decision, as they expect Kuro to be playing this Nautilus in the bottom lane, in the mid lane.
Blitzcrank getting banned, so yeah, they really are expecting that Nautilus. And like you were saying, there's no universe I think that Aatrox would ever be getting banned, because now Ornn is just getting way too much value out of his armor resistances, and Nautilus even himself, Jarvan. This is all really scary. Blitzcrank ban obviously gives away. The Thresh is coming in, but now KT can just pivot the Nautilus down into bot lane, and it's not the end of the world. Alternatively, now they can just counterpick the Thresh, and that would be a problem as well. As okay, Vayne is being hovered, and I do feel like that would be very peculiar. Swapping back now to Kai'Sa. This is not a Kai'Sa spot. Talked a lot.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I talked a lot on stream yesterday about how Kai'Sa is an answer to basically an enemy team composition that has some sort of a semblance of protecting something meaningful, whereas DragonX is just coming at them, and I love the Cassiopeia by KT.
Yeah, it denies so much. Especially the Kalista. Def not going to have a great time if he's the one, in fact, playing the Kalista here. It is likely that the Kalista Thresh will be the lane, as they do feel very confident on those. As now we're looking for Aiming's pick to see whether or not he's going to be playing the Cassiopeia, as Rumble is being looked at, and this will likely be that Cassiopeia lane with Rumble heading into the mid lane. That's going to be their answer to Kalista in the laning phase.
So it does make me a little bit worried, though, because this is massive amounts of magic damage. Nautilus, Ornn, Cassiopeia, and Rumble. And if that Jarvan goes tank, which, let's be honest, Atlas, you already know that he is going tank.
Yeah.
All DragonX needs to do is stack magic resistances. And so I loved the Cassiopeia.
Oh my God, here we go
the
again.
Rumble. And if there's anything I love more than the Cassiopeia pick in that spot on B4 and then ruining it on B5, it's the R5 Casawin. I can't even say it. Casawin. Trying not to trigger the collective, but
yeah, sorry, collective. It's happened once again. Back-to-back Kassadin games. Of course, Chovy is very good at this champion, right? Like, this is going to be a thing that DRX can play around, but it's once again like, wait, does Riftwalk actually get affected? Because it's more of a blink rather than a dash. So Miasma, I don't think, stops it. Is that correct?
So Miasma, well, when he's rooted, he can't blink.
Aha, got it.
You can't blink, you can't flash, you can't go anywhere.
You can blink over it.
Yes.
Theoretically. Okay.
You can blink over it, but DragonX, I feel like KT just threw an interception on the B5, locking in the Rumble as well. It's just too much magic damage. And even though they have a nice Wombo combo, you know that Bono, he's just looking up Korean pro builds. He's 100% going tank Jarvan. There's no thought in his mind to go AD Jarvan with lethality or something to try to just use the equalizer, lethality, EQ, cataclysm, and just delete the Kalista at the very beginning of the fight. Basically just act as a kamikaze in the team fights to delete one of the primary carries. And in doing so, DragonX actually has a much stronger late game.
Well, they also have an anti-mage against full magic damage. So the Kassadin certainly works out there, even if the Miasma is going to ruin his day just a little bit. I have a feeling if you build a composition around just one ability, though, we saw it work out against Sandbox, actually, against DRX. It seemed like they had a good idea with the Miasma sort of ruining everything. But you've only got that one cooldown, and if you can play around it as DRX, then they're going to be absolutely fine.
Well, we are 40 seconds into this game. I do think that DragonX has the better draft, and I think that they're going to win this game. Let's take a look here. The longer the beard, the longer our team's win streak gets. Perfect.
And I'm not thinking to tell him to shave. All right, Harai. Good to see that we've got an interview between the coaches and the players. Not going to hear about the teams whatsoever. We're just going to hear about the Tucson beard. Absolutely perfect. That's what we want. At least they understand what we want to know. As Pioshik going to clear out a ward there. They're not going to see exactly where the Olaf is going to be starting, and he's not going to start on the red buff side. He's heading towards his blue buff for the start of this game. I think that actually this laning phase for Chovy is going to be pretty okay into the Rumble. Of course, melee versus melee matchup, and we'll be able to mitigate a lot of that damage with the shield that you can get from your Q.
Yeah, Kassadin is historically one of the counters to Rumble. When Rumble was really prominent up in the top lane.
Top lane Kassadin, I remember that. Yeah,
top lane Kassadin used to come out to answer him. And so, same exact runes as Showmaker had earlier on tonight, and it's just such a nice spot. There's not enough CC to hold down Kassadin, and even when you do allocate the CC that can hold him down, the Nautilus ultimate or the Cassiopeia ult, if you can manage to land it, he's going to have such resistance. And honestly, we could maybe even see some tank items built on the Kassadin, like Abyssal Mask, if he wanted to go that route, just because it would have so much value against this KT team composition.
Yeah, I even think Pioshik could even pick up something like an Abyssal Mask if he'd like to. If he wants to be the savant over there, can provide that extra level of Magic Pen for the Kassadin. And the Olaf's going to be running in every time anyway, so it could be an opportunity. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen it, as we have a look at these players through the ages as far as how old they all are, or when they started, I believe, is what we're looking at, as the hook is going to land here onto Tucson. Going to take a fair bit of damage, as now Deft is going to pull the Ren stacks out. And it looks like Bono not looking for any sort of dive just yet, as he's looking to come round. Might be able to get underneath this turret, but he's not at full health and he's only level 3. Could be dangerous, but this is certainly a Bono play to make.
Well, this is definitely very risky. And they can either win or lose the game here. Kyria does not seem like he wants to give up, and Bono is going to end up showing himself. He's at 16 CS. Olaf did a full clear, and now Bono going to go over on the right-hand side, pick up the right Scuttle Crab, and you can see the ping by Pioshik.
Yep, they know exactly where he is. Pioshik going to go back to base, grabs himself his Chilling Smite, and will get back out onto the Rift. He'll go towards the northern Scuttle Crab, take that one down, and see what he can affect towards the top side. Deft and Carrier absolutely fine over here. Is Deft 18-7 so far on this Callista pick. It's certainly one of his all-time favorites. This is in the LCK as well, and he started his Callista career over in China. Was one of our better Callista players by the end of 2015.
Yeah. And here in this game, I'd really like to see him either pick up an early Hex Drinker or just go into Wit's End as his first item.
That would be super cool, actually.
Don't do the streamlined Blade of the Ruined King, opening up the pro builds or the whatever item app you might have on your phone or something. That would be a really bad decision to go Blade here in this game. Hex Drinker or Wit's End just has such insane value against KT's team composition. And I think that's all that Deft really needs to do is just be tanky, because that'll convert into ultimately more Ren stacks, and then more Ren stacks will make up for the damage loss that he has on just his autos.
Ooh, Doran, good trade here onto Soan, but just going to shove this wave in. Probably can look for a cheetah recall if he would like to, as his teleport is still available as well if he'd like to get straight back to the lane, but instead he's going to get some deep vision, and we'll spot out where Bono is, as you can see. And Agatha going to be started here by the Jarvan in full vision of DRX. They even had that sneaky little control ward in the brush, and so now Pioshik can head over to this Infernal Drake and start it up without any fear of the Jarvan coming over and ruining his day.
Yeah. As now up here in top lane, Soan comes over on a recall. And Pioshik picking up, and that is good news. Atlas,
hell
no
yeah.
Cloud Souls.
And it's either mountain or ocean, and either of them sound pretty good to either of these teams. Especially when DRX only have to stack magic resist. Each point of that magic resist, if they do get a mountain soul, will mean even more as they go through. And it means that they won't have to worry about armor basically at all in this game. Still yet to find out whether Bono has gone just full tier list, as level 6 has been gained by Chovy, and Kuro losing out on that trade pretty handedly, as Chovy's Riftwalk is now up.
Well, Chovy just continuing to play really defensively, going straight into the Rod of Ages. So it's not going to be any Abyssal Mask as his first item. And we'll just continue to see what DragonX is going to end up doing as the game goes on. All that they need to do is just take it slow, have good itemization. We do have an answer, potentially, that Deft is just going to go into the Blade of the Ruin King as the first item, which is really sad to see. So I wouldn't
mind just second item Wit's End. He could do that. Just skip Rununs. We've seen that a few times.
That is true. He could also just sit on the Vampiric Scepter and then go into the Wit's End and just rely on that for the lifesteal. Love to see.
Yeah, true.
Sorkpen Boots was picked up by Rumble as his first item. They probably want to make sure that Rumble has a lot of mobility so that they can constantly try to shove in Chovy in mid lane and then try to maybe make a play on the bottom right-hand side of the map using the equalizer, using the priority in the mid lane. I am not going to say the champion's name. I will refer only from this point forward as Chovy.
Well, Kyoshik comes over, says thanks for the leash, as Bono unable to steal that one away. Very nicely done there by the DRX jungler. And Aiming and Tucson in position now, but not a whole lot to fight over, as there's 3 minutes until this next Cloud Drake is available. Pyoshik heading into the lane here, bottom side, and if he can get into this brush unseen, that could be a really sneaky move here for the DRX jungler.
You can see they're being a little patient. Aiming and Tushin not electing to freeze, and it's always so perplexing why they don't want to do this. They could have held the wave and recalled as well. So unless Aiming exactly needs the gold that he just got, you just sort of sit there scratching your head. And it is a little bit curious. Berserker Greaves actually picked up by Deft as they're running over to the Rift Herald.
Actually a pretty decent item position here for Deft as well. I mean, Berserker's Greaves such high value, and will have the Vampiric Scepter for the extra lifesteal and sort of control in these fights, given his low range and things like that as carrier. Spots this ward immediately. Hook is going to land there onto Tucson, and he's already in with the double play. Tucson dead before it's even really started, as Deft trying to get out of there. You can see Pyoshik going to go down as well. A double kill already for the Jarvan. Carrier, Chovy, and Deft still all alive, but Shelly is going to be taken here by KT despite DRX landing first blood.
And so DRX, they get first blood, they have an Infernal Dragon, and the rotation to the Rift Herald is a little bit confusing in the sense that they're the ones that want a very slow and stable early game, and yet they were trying to accelerate it, which is so peculiar. And on the flip side, you can look at it as like, if they end up getting the Rift Herald, they're the one that gets turret plates, they accelerate themselves into that mid-game. That obviously is nice. But beautiful engage by KT, Aiming just doing so much inside of this team fight in terms of his champion's value. And now here they are up here in top lane. They're going to proc that Demolish, try to get the turret plates down to 3, and then maybe summon the Rift Herald. Bit of a different
you can see
pace,
Bono
though.
still sitting on his Rift Herald as well, so they were waiting to try and get optimal value out of that one. Of course, every turret plate that you take down increases the statistics of the turret, and so making sure that true damage is going to get the highest value possible, but Bono just moves away from that lane. They're going to accept the fact that they were able to get that one turret plate, and now he's moving elsewhere on the map, and we'll see where Shelly is going to go. 100 gold, now the lead here for KT, as they're 2-1 in kills. But otherwise, DRX having a decent early game thus far, and it's more about the mid game here for this team when Kassadin gets himself to like 1.5 items, now has himself his Rod of Ages. That's going to start ticking at 10 minutes. That's actually very, very good for a Kassadin, for as far as the Rod of Ages timing is concerned.
Ooh.
As what were we oohing about? Are we okay?
Look at Jarvan's build.
Yeah, he's got the warrior enchant. I was going to talk about this earlier on. We saw that in the last fight, actually, I wonder whether that was why he had the extra damage to do to get those kills. Probably not, but now has Warrior Enchant and an extra longsword. He is going for the full damage Jarvan build.
And that is super good. So with the Cataclysm and the Ornn ultimate plus the Equalizer, they have a lot of back range access, and it gives him such insane value because no one on the side of DragonX is going to build any armor whatsoever because there's just way too much.
Yeah.
Magic damage.
Oh, Ornn comes in, already slowed down, has to flash the second knock-up, and now Shelly's going to dive underneath this turret. We'll see where the Bono's going to go for it. Remember, pretty squishy as this damage Jarvan, but with Soan here and Shelly charging up, they are going to be able to take down that turret. Carrier misses the hook bottom side, and that is first turret blood going over to KT. And remember, stats tell us that KT wins this game.
That is, well, let's see if they can
pack it
manage to keep that. Yeah, there you go. As Sunfire Cape already completed for the Ornn, the Aatrox just not going to be doing anything anymore, and Kalista going for Build Horticulture is probably just going to recall now into Recurve Bow.
Yeah, won't have enough for Blade of the Ruin King, as you can see, only sitting on about 1,000 gold, and you can see Deft actually staying in this area. I think he has vision on Cassiopeia and the Nautilus heading back home. He's now bottom, waiting in the brush, knows that he's unseen with that sweeper as there's the Rift Walk. Chovy not going to get engaged on just yet, and Chovy is just only going to increase in power as this game goes on. Of course, Rod of Ages, one of those items that's pretty easy to analyze.
Chovy, I think, is about level 10.5 right now in mid lane, as Kuro just dinged 10 at the very end of this wave. Looks like he got it with maybe 2 minions remaining, so Chovy is going to be very far ahead in the XP department, and Aatrox just doesn't deal any damage to Ornn anymore. Doesn't have the Black Cleaver. And right now, Aatrox, he could pull up these waves and freeze on his side of the map, and there's no chance that Ornn is walking all the way up just to farm the wave. 3 minutes until Mountain, there's nothing to do, but they have hot dates. So
yeah, this is what you got to do. You got to ping pong, man.
You gotta ping pong.
We're all ping pong players.
You gotta work on that, you know?
Yeah.
They gotta work on their form.
That's exactly right. I wonder how they hold their bats or rackets. Do you call it a racket in ping pong? Not entirely sure.
No idea. I loathe ping pong. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, actually, that does make some sense. You haven't been much of a fan of the old ping pong as we've been on this broadcast. As you can see, Kuro not as much of a fan of killing minions as Chovy is. 20 CS behind right now is the Rumble. As Chovy having a pretty good time right here. And as you can see, now able to just walk around this minion wave, uses Rift Walk to farm, and will just continue stacking up this Rod of Ages, and now heads back, should have money for a tier as well, and gets that also.
And at this point, it's really going to come down to Chovy in the Mountain Drake fight. I can't stress enough how important that dragon is. Not just for the magic resist amplification that DragonX will eventually start going towards, but also because in the later stages of the game, level 15, 16, 17, etc., the slight boost to armor is also going to be so important against the Jarvan because no one is building any armor. And despite no one building any armor and everyone being magic damage aside from Jarvan, he does look like he's building the Black Cleaver. So he would actually just get more damage out of lethality items against these DragonX targets with his opening burst combo. So before the Cleaver stacks could fully be applied, even still, it would just deal more. So very surprising not to see something like a Yumu's or even an Umbral Glaive to try to control the vision around this Mountain Dragon, and instead going for the Black Cleaver. We'll give him a little bit more HP, but his HP doesn't matter, because his job is to gun for the backline, delete Kalista, and then go down, and at that point it's still fine.
Well, we'll see what he decides to do with the build after this. I don't mind it because he wants to have the extra health bar, I guess, and gets, you know, the 20% CDR, which is also always something that Jarvan wants to look towards. But I understand exactly what your point is. Lethality just better without too much armor, as the hook is going to land here on both sides, but Tusin's going to get punished for it. Exhaust down onto aiming and anticipating the petrifying gaze, as Chovy will take himself the lantern. Tusin goes golden just to make sure that he doesn't die from that force pulse. As now Doran's going to turn up, but so does Soan, and Soan in a team fight is worth so much more than this Aatrox.
And what are DragonX doing? It looks like they're prioritizing Rift Herald over Mountain Drake.
That's pretty insane.
World?
Well, DragonX moving back now. 5 seconds until that Mountain Drake is available, and you can see DragonX finally pinging onto the Mountain Drake. They figured it out. It took them a while, but they got there in the end. As you can see Chovy looking to try and get some poke damage onto Soan, who's searing charges, but only finds a wall. And this Drake has already been started. It looks like KT are actually going to opt into the trade. And that's not what you want to see on their side either, as the Drake is going to go down. Shirley has been started up, but DragonX have Soul Point, and KT have 0 dragons. If they're going to get to the Mountain Soul or anything like that, it's going to take a really long time. And so Chovy's going to have like 4 items before any sort of soul fight is going to be there.
Chovy even picking up the Merc Tread's going to get a little bit of extra value. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but Olaf, for instance, just got 5, I believe 6 armor and 5 magic resistance. And that's without completing any of his magic resist items. He's probably going to end up going Spirit Visage or Adapt. I would say Adaptive Helm is actually really good here.
Yep.
And then you know that Death's Dance is going to come in on Aatrox. This is the change Death's Dance that has the resistances on it. And so these dragons are really important. And like you were mentioning, Soul Point is happening so early. And the only question for me is Chovy going to have his second item at that fight? Because it's so crucial in turning his mana into a weapon and getting all that AP stat. And aside from that, DragonX are sitting pretty right now. And if it wasn't for that Rift Herald blunder that makes no sense, even in hindsight, they would be sitting so comfortably.
Oh, yeah. And 25 CS in the lead is Chovy. He's still very, very strong currently with a level advantage over basically everyone in the game, apart from Doran. That's exactly where they want to be. Kuro makes his way towards the top side and does finally ding that level 12. And I think that wave is going to be answered by Doran here, as he's just going to leash the red buff for Deft, who comes on over, grabs that one for himself. Someone also, unfortunately, heading towards the Frozen Fist as his second item. Understandable that you want to be stacking up the armor, but not going to be giving him as much masterwork opportunities. And also mitigating the damage of the Kassadin could actually be a decent idea. It's not like there's no magic damage on this DragonX side.
Yeah. Kassadin does deal insane amounts of damage, especially in the later stages. He even has an Infernal Dragon, which on him does help out a little bit because he does auto attack a lot. Yeah. It's not like he never does it, so a little bit of extra kick there. As 2.5 minutes until that does end up coming up. And everyone is just mostly going blow for blow, ping-ponging the side lanes. No freezes here, we're allergic to that.
Yep, Chovy looking for some damage here onto Soan, but we are going to pan back to the mid lane. Kyoshik going to take himself a lantern to get to safety. Tusin not going to find the dredge line there due to that. And there is a burning face here onto Kuro, who's thinking about what he wants to build next. Amptome going to be going into a whole lot of different options. I would assume Zhonya's Hourglass should be coming in. There's Seraph's Embrace transformation done for aiming, and he's very close to his Zhonya's also. And then should be able to get the Masterwork upgrade of that one also. That's a really good dredge line as the Ragnarok does come in to answer it. Takes a lantern as well there from Carrier, but burning down to the Ignite, and the Olaf quite low now.
1.5 minutes, or just under 2 minutes actually, until the Mountain Dragon. And one of the things I actually want to point out, Soan does not have any MR, and he's dead. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a flash forward. Chovy just picks up the kill. All too easy. But in the meantime, there's a fight in the mid lane. Carrier in trouble. Fate's Call is going to keep him alive. Pops the depth charge as well. And he's just going to get thrown over the wall. But inside track to this turret here as Bono does decent damage to it. Aiming. Will get hit by the Infernal Chains, and this minion wave will be dealt with. The turret very, very low, but KT not able to take it on this push.
One of the other things that really does perplex me, so if the Black Cleaver didn't really hit a home run, then definitely the Iceborne Gauntlet on the Ornn instead of the Abyssal Mask. It turns out that giving 3 of your teammates, including yourself, 10% more magic damage, it's not something you want to do, Alex.
No, apparently not, as Doran's going to flash out of the Cataclysm here. Bono Did a fair bit of damage there, but he's not able to stay under the turret and tank it with this particular build, despite the extra health, I guess, from the Black Cleaver. And KT trying to play aggressively here, but the gold is entirely even. We've got 40 seconds until the possible Mountain Soul for DragonX.
Yeah. And so he ran right into a wall. And then I like this right here. I like Kassadin standing still. Like he was upset that he had to go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's so mad that he's making him work for it.
What I love is that like you knew exactly what was going to happen, and Soan literally had nothing that he could do to stop it.
You don't run from Kassadin. Not when he's the one dogging you down. And also, he's so slippery in the later stages. Chovy's already at level 14. Probably really close to 15. This is it, by the way. This is the team fight. Soan did not get to ding 13. Fell behind Doran in XP, which means he won't have the ornaments for this fight. But Olaf won't have his ultimate available. And maybe they're going to give this up in favor of waiting on second item completions. And you know what? I don't totally mind this. We actually saw this in another LCK game earlier this week.
Yep. Where
you recognize that, okay, there's one chance for us to lose a team fight, it would be right now. Kalista doesn't have second item. They're still waiting on Seraph's Embrace. They're so close to Death's Dance. They're so close to Spirit Message. And there's no reason to take this team fight here when you're Chovy's up in top lane. He's getting more and more gold, more and more XP. You can wait till level 16, get these major item completions, and then that's going to be what really hurts your opponent. Chovy, 1 minion away, I guess, from 15.
And very close to Seraph's Embrace, as well as fully stacked Rod of Ages. This is the time that DRX have been waiting for. This is the power level on their Kassadin they really want to start leveraging. So I agree with you. I think it's really intelligent. And they don't need to care about one Mountain Drake, right? It starts to get worrying if they start to stack up like, what, 3 of them? Something like that. Yes. You don't want to get to any sort of soul point on both sides. But the next dragon fight in 4 minutes is a much better scenario because Deft picks up Runan's Hurricane as well. And I know we wanted to see something like a Wit's End, but Runan's is still a big 2-item power spike when paired with the Blade of the Ruin King. So I really like how this one's been played out. Soan takes 0 damage from Doran. I think that if we're going to play some side lanes, you'd want Chovy in that position. But now KT playing on up, looking around this Baron area, and they have already cleared out the majority of the vision. Oh! Now there's the flash play. Bono's going to fail the flash. Now going to go golden, seeing whether he can get his flag and drag back off cooldown, but Deft says no. He's going to grab that kill as now his ex-teammate is also into the bouncy castle and dead. As now Doran just umbral dashing over this wall, and could this be DRX's time to go for a Baron? Doran thinks maybe.
And Chovy starting up the Baron right now, does have the magic shield.
Yep, Yoshi eating some honey fruit as well. Deft at full health. Kuro over to the side, does not have his equalizer available. Another hook is going to land as they're going to engage onto Soan. Doran's very low. Ornhorn has been blown as Deft, taking so much damage. Even the Baron throwing out autos on top of this Kalista, but Soan's going to go down. DRX have found their team fight. Aiming, uses his Seraphs to try and keep himself alive. A 3-man stun with a petrifying gaze, but it's not enough, and DRX walk away with 5.
And DRX manages to walk away, and you can probably bet that the Dragons actually maybe played a part
100%.
in this team fight, as Chovy, he was looming on the outskirts, and there's no way anyone could have dealt with him inside of this team fight. As we take a look again, Keria with the flash play to cancel the flag and drag. Bono failing the flash. And Bono still does a lot of damage with the Cataclysm. Tushin using his Stone Plate, locking up. Lots of damage right there. Chovy in the back line, stalking them like Zodiac himself. As Soan, Aiming, and Kuro, they looked like they were trying to run away. And now watch the Rift walk over on the right-hand side. Chovy's going to go for a flank. Keria lands the hook onto Soan. They did so much damage to him. Kuro trying to focus on Kassadin on the right-hand side, and all of their attention is just juggled, and Aiming tries to make a hero play right here. Not quite able to do so. Petrifying Gaze hits everyone almost but Kassadin, and they end up winning.
Yeah, I actually love that from Chovy. He made sure that Aiming couldn't get into the team fight. They separated Soan purely because of Chovy's ability to hold on to the enemy aggro. It was really, really clean from the mid laner from DragonX, and this is what we talk about all the time. If Chovy's winning, DRX are winning. He's 60 CS in the lead, 2-0-1, very close to capping out his bounty. 3-0-3 for Deft as well. I mean, the Callista, we haven't really been talking about it, but it's been impossible to lock him down, even if KT do have a lot of the answers that you look for against the Callista.
And you know, I like to see it. Hexdrinker finally coming in for Callista here as well. Going to be making such use of that Mountain Dragon. They're definitely going to get Soul in 40 seconds. I can't see a world where KT manages to win the team fight because Chovy is 16.
Yeah, and that's enough. The Kassadin's level 16. What are you supposed to do? Flash is going to be answered there as Tucson throws his out. And happy to trade with Deft, his former bottom lane teammate from 2019. Chovy was moving towards the mid lane here, as Doran also has joined the rest of his team, understanding that this Mountain Drake is exactly what they want to fight for. Chovy close to picking up a Zhonya's, but has the stopwatch, so he's totally fine for one cooldown, and then happy to get that upgrade when that one comes in. As DRX move over to this outer turret. We'll see whether it might actually just be a Banshee's Veil here for Chovy, just to try and get a little bit of extra MR as well on top of his Merc Treads that he already has. But look at this, DRX, full control, and we'll take a free Mountain Soul. Thank you very much.
And let's just take a look at what the amp is. It's probably not going to be that much on... Okay, so he got 4 armor and 3 MR, I think, is what just happened. So not the biggest resistances for Chovy, but he is going to have Banshee's Veil complete soon. So he'll probably get a little bit more once that item is in. But there's no way for KT to win a team fight.
Well, we'll see whether they can do here, because they've started trying. Bono and Kuro are going to turn up a little bit too late, though, as Chovy standing on a ward, which is bad news. Doran utilizing his death stance to get all of his health back, and has the World Ender still up as well, as Kate aiming is going to go golden. Deft in the back line, but the Flag and Drag's going to go back out. Huge 3-man knockup does come forward there, as this is the demolition train. Good night, sweet KT. You have run your distance already.
And Chovy just in the heart of everyone, basically immune to damage. Seraph's Embrace, all the HP from the Rod of Ages as well. And just dealing so much. Even the Fleet Footwork heals coming in. And there's just nothing KT can do. In Atlas, you feel a little bit bad. They punted the draft away on B4, B5. They tried to make stuff work. They got an edge at the Rift Herald, but it just wasn't enough. Kassadin pick ended up coming online, and it was Choky, not Choky here in game number 1.
Yeah, it was 404, Choky not found. He managed to get an extra assist there, so the joke is going to run afoul, but the Nexus is still dead. DRX 14-2 is the kill score, a 28-minute victory. Fantastic to see this level of form against the KT 8-match winning streak, and it just shows the level of competition just wasn't high enough for their first few matches of round 2.
And that is a very impressive game number 1. Obviously, they had that blunder early on, trying to go for the Rift Herald that didn't serve a purpose really to their team composition nor the game state. And you know what they're thinking? They're thinking if we can sneak this, get this, it helps accelerate us into that mid-game state, which then further helps them sort of asphyxiate KT out of the game. And so that's what their intention was there. They ended up blundering that, but KT's team composition ended up working against them in the later stages. Do have to give credit to Bono, though. He did recognize, hey, I have all AP teammates. I should probably go AD Jarvan. Didn't quite get the memo entirely, though. He built Black Cleaver. Not that it would have mattered all that much.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. Chovy will pick up player of the game for this one. His Kassadin was fantastic. I'm just so happy that we see back-to-back Kassadin games after there was like one ban yesterday. Otherwise, he wasn't looked at whatsoever. It's not like he was buffed in 10.6 either. It's just they found the right moments, and we have some really good Kassadin players in the LCK. So great to see Showmaker and Chovy bringing that one out. Chovy was just unstoppable this game, able to get to every single lane, farm everything out, get to all of his items exactly when he needed to. This was a decent fight for KT, but it wasn't enough to stop the bleeding and to stop DRX from snowballing into Mountain Soul and just the gigantic Kassadin win condition.
Yeah. Chovy just got so big and so far ahead. Riftwalk taking down Soan right there, and there was no answer to this pick.
Oh, the flash play.
Now, there were still points in this game that make me really worried for DragonX. There were some reckless engages. There was some posturing, like that one time they wanted to go for Rift Herald instead of the Mountain Dragon, if you do recall that one. Now, on the flip side, though, they did recognize giving up that one Mountain Drake to KT was beneficial to the overall game state. They were waiting on major key item completions. Chovy solo up in top lane, getting so close to level 16. That was a really good decision. That was much more patient than they've tended to be in a lot of other games so far this split. So they come out swinging in game number 1. They're going to be on blue now, though, in game 2. And I'm not feeling confident for KT even on red side because they had this draft winning for them, and they threw it all away.
Yeah, actually, I think you're entirely correct. There won't be any Kassadin opportunities here this time around, though. I mean, they won't be able to get Chovy into the perfect position. So DRX will have to show us a different style of play and a different style of draft. So maybe that's going to allow KT to have an extra edge as they move over to the red side. But this was a masterclass for DRX, and this looks like a team that is poised to get towards that confirmed top 3 position and really challenge for the Spring Championship. And that's what we were expecting from this team. And my God, the Kassadin damage. Close to 20k, double anything that the other side had to offer.
Yeah. He just did so much inside of this game. Obviously, we saw it yet again, by the way. I just want to point it out. Aatrox does not beat Ornn. He doesn't do anything. And even in the later stages, Aatrox wasn't really doing a whole lot. It was mostly Ornn actually acting as like a juggernaut that was threatening a lot of value, but he couldn't control the CC out of the Thresh, utility out of Thresh, as well as find a way to hold down Chovy. It was too tall of an ask.
Yeah, exactly right. Plus, they had only magic damage, so maybe next time they'll grab themselves an actual damage dealer and really challenge DragonX. But we'll have to find out after a short break as we get towards game number 2. I don't know. I think that this team certainly relies on Chovy maybe a little bit too much, and maybe KT are going to be able to target him out and potentially get themselves some form of advantage. But we'll have to find out after the break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you then for DragonX versus KT Game 2.